Codependency can be described as caring so much that it hurts. Codependency is focused on others' problems, feelings, and needs at the expense of your own well being. Now, where does it all stem from? It all stems from childhood. It's rooted in childhood. And it's through family dysfunction, through emotional neglect, shame, ignored emotions, addiction, mental illness, physical, emotional, or verbal abuse. And it's because a primary caregiver will typically deny that their behavior was harmful to you. And they will belittle or invalidate your emotions because their needs are met. The primary needs are met. So therefore, they'll just completely dismiss everything. They'll tend to gaslight you. And then throughout your childhood, you become hardwired and ingrained to have to aspire to do that because you feel that you have to put their needs ahead, that you have to do everything ahead just because of the fact that they're not invalidating your emotions. So you start putting them in the back burner and start focusing more on those goal-oriented things that you need to do or those roles and shoes that you need to fit. And it blurs completely the line of where your needs and your emotions need to be considered. Now, there are different signs that you may be codependent, and codependents often don't have good boundaries. They lie to protect others, they'll ignore their own needs, they'll lie to cover others' behaviors, they'll have poor self-esteem, they'll deny that there is an issue to begin with, they're easily hurt, they need to be needed. They can't say no. They manipulate on the other side of the spectrum. They feel responsible for other people's emotions. They lack self-trust. They often get angry, resentful for doing it all because they take on so much as it is. They feel the need to rescue people. They avoid conflict. They minimize how they feel. They'll be like, oh, I'm fine, or it's just a little this, that's it. But realistically, like, they feel deeper emotions than that. They'll minimize how the consequences of others affect them. They will mask their pain with humor typically, and they value approval from others over valuing themselves. So it shows that it can range either way. It just depends on how the person chooses to approach it. It depends on how that person chooses to catalyze it. But either way, it can be harmful to the receiver. So it's important to be aware of these things and be aware of how they manifest, the signs that they manifest, so that way you can start building from codependency to independency, yet you can still form connections that just have healthier boundaries, regulations, etc. So how do you heal from codependency? First one is boundaries. Now that's the most important thing to learn and to adapt. You need to make sure that you do have those boundaries set, whether it be with other people or whether it even be from yourself. Counseling can help because this is a hard and a messy situation to unlearn. And sometimes you need guidance, and it's okay to need professional help through it. It's important to know that it's okay to need professional help through this. Foster self-care. So that is the most important relationship you'll ever have. So why not care for yourself? Why not love yourself? Honor your intuition. So this will be able to build your confidence. You'll start trusting yourself a little bit more. Less focus on others because that will free you. Sometimes we focus so much on the little tiny minuscule reactions to somebody or the words or the tone or just trying to make sure that everything is okay with them all the time. But if you lessen the focus all the time and you stop letting it consume you and take you into the back burner, it'll free you. Let go of what you cannot control. Again, that's another thing that will free you. Use your voice because you need to ask for what you need. You can't always rely on people to read your mind or to assume what you need, and you can't also keep yourself silent when you have needs, very specific needs and opinions that need to be heard. You need to stop negative self-talk. It's not always easy, but it's a really good route into doing that. So what you think and say become how you view yourself. So it's very important to ensure that the way you're talking to yourself is healthy, so that way you can view yourself in a healthy manner, in a healthy space. Make a self-care ritual. So make a consistent self-care ritual that'll last, something that feels good, something that fills you back up, something that nourishes you. So Here are some things that codependency is not. And I want to really emphasize this if you identify yourself as a codependent person or you've had codependency at some point in your life. Codependency is not your fault. Codependency is not a mental illness. Codependency is not the same as being clingy. Codependency is not just affected by families of addiction. Codependency does not mean you are weak, and codependency does not have to be forever. Now, in order to build healthier relationships, it all starts with recognizing it. And it also stems from after you're recognizing it, not to beat yourself up about it. It's okay, we all do it. We're all in a different path. This was something that has been ingrained in you for such a long time from such a young age. How could you have helped that? So don't beat yourself up about it. It's not your fault. It's just something that got translated as you grew. And you have all the power, all the liberty to be able to catalyze that, to build healthy relationships for yourself and to be easier on yourself and more graceful on yourself. Now, the most important relationship you'll ever have is the one with yourself. So once you really, really reinforce that and once you really nourish that, everything else flows very freely. And therefore, you already watching this is helping you build a relationship with yourself because you're obviously seeking things that you can do to better understand yourself, and that all coincides together. So codependency is not your fault. Codependency happens. Now you are very deserving of healthy relationships in your life, including the one with yourself. I hope this video has been helpful for you. Have a great mental health day.